quick break. Just to let you guys know, the book is out. My book is out, and I'm super excited. It's called Parents Are Greatest Teachers. It's on sale on Amazon, so you can now grab your copy. Do leave me a review on Amazon, comment, DM me if you have any questions, and let's keep on sharing our stories. And now, let's go back to our episode.
Hello, everyone. This is your host, Alex Valgood, and this is Leap of Health. And today's interview is part of our 10 part series, Healing to the Path of Success. And we have Mass Wilson today. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Alex. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you. And so we're going to be talking about, as we've been doing on our other interviews, about our healing, how we go through all that, and where we are right now. So if you can tell us how this whole coaching and helping others started for you.
The most abbreviated version, I had a very traumatic and abusive childhood that my parents were physically, emotionally, and at least one point sexually abusive. And my issues with my mental health started when I was very young. I actually vocalized my first suicidal ideations when I was 11 years old. And um, also, it ran in my family that when my brother, who is 14 months younger than I am, when he turned 20, he had his major psychotic break as part of paranoid schizophrenia, which he still manages now. 2018, when I was 42, I intentionally overdosed my antidepressants that I had been dealing with an unresolved nerve pain issue for 8 years. At that point, I was absolutely at my lowest. I had just escaped a very abusive relationship where my previous partner pulled a knife on me when she was drunk. And yeah, and it was after that after my overdose that I actually I really committed to the path of healing and addressing all of my trauma. I had previously been in therapy, but I only dealt with the surface level stuff, and at this point I really committed to taking care of myself.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. How did was that the turning point?
That was the first turning point. That was what initially broke my molding a little bit. And then 6 weeks after I got out of the hospital, I went to my first, oh boy, already getting emotional about it. I went to my first burn event, which if you've ever heard of Burning Man, this was a smaller regional one. And at that time, all of my self-esteem was negative. I could not have given you one nice thing about myself or one thing I liked about myself. I just felt like I was this hideous, horrible person and I didn't have any redeeming qualities or values. So I show up to this event and I was exposed to radical inclusion. And wherever I went, I was welcomed. And I was enthusiastically welcomed. I was invited in. It's a big camping event with tents and stuff set up. So I was invited in, and people went out of their way to make me feel comfortable and welcomed me. And it was like something stirred in my soul. And that was the validation and the reinforcement that I was worthy, that I had inherent value just for existing, and that I was worthy of love and affection from other people as well as from myself. And it was that experience that really galvanized me, that I wanted to have more of it. And after my second such event a few months later, in October of 2018, actually October 2019, I came out of a regional burn called Alchemy with life purpose and goal.
Nice. Is that when you started coaching?
Yes, that's when I certification wise, I have a certified peer support specialist, substance use recovery coach, and mental health first aid responder. In the 2 years since I got my certification for mental health first aid responder, I have intervened in 24 actively suicidal situations.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been there. I know it. So it is something. Yeah, it's one of my gifts that I can now. I'm in the position where I can use all of my experienced trauma to help empathize and resonate with someone else, because I literally, like, I have been through the shit. So I am the proof that it gets better.
Yeah, for sure. We'll just say that maybe you were supposed to go through this in order to help others. How do you use those struggles that you went through now?
Yeah, now it's a way for me to, again, empathize and relate to someone else, or to show that I am relatable. That I was morbidly obese. I was not taking care of myself. I was pre-diabetic. I was in pain every day. Everything hurt. I was on such a high dose of ibuprofen for so long, which, little fun fact, is the single most abused drug in the United States. Yeah, I was on such a high dose of ibuprofen for so long. My primary care doctor now doesn't want me to take it at all
Right.
because of the risk of damage to my liver. So I was, yeah, 320 pounds. Now I'm down to, I'm at a comfortable 210. This past summer, I actually dropped down to what I was when I was 18 and I graduated Navy boot camp. Like, it's possible to be fit over 40.
Yeah. Oh, yes, for sure. And I know you advocate for pretty much for like men's health and
Yes.
and body um, acceptance and all that.
Body positivity, absolutely.
Body
And
positivity.
it is my approach that I take care and manage my mental health through my physical health. And also, um, I mean, I took off my glasses because I felt myself becoming emotional. However, I don't resist being emotional. And it is one of my core beliefs that emotional engagement is not the same as emotional distress. And I actively encourage all men in my space to tap into their emotions and by all means cry.
Yeah, yeah. That is awesome. I think it's super important. We do see a lot of women all the time, talking about it, especially with mental health, body issues, and all that. But I see more and more now that actually there's a lot of men helping other men. Um, it is important that, we do have women that try to help men, but I believe it's not the same thing. Obviously, we have like different body parts. We think differently. We feel different. Although we're both human beings, it is important that other men that has gone through things like that supports other men. So that's amazing. What are the other things that you have done for that specific community to actually motivate them and let them know that the path of healing, it's not to be ashamed, because then we come to the point of like, like macho men, masculinity, and things like that have nothing really to do with the path of healing. And be compassionate to yourself, and know that also men has body shame and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry. What was the question?
What are the things that you have done to help this specific community with all that in the path of healing?
Well, I have found that the only thing that I can do is be an example of what is possible. So and it took some adjustment, and every now and then I still have like ego pop up, like, oh, do I really want to share this? Am I really going to be this vulnerable and go there? And yeah, that I have several veteran friends, combat vets,
Yeah.
who have like have literally lived through the horror of war. And I served in a combat theater when I was in the Navy. However, I was fortunate not to experience combat. Uh, the things, especially multi-generational service members, that I was fourth generation military. I know other guys that being raised in a military household, and there's that expectation
Mhm.
of the strong, silent man who
Yes.
can just
Mhm.
take everything and doesn't flinch or shed a tear or ever have any kind of like doubt.
Mhm.
So I yeah, I do what I can by sharing what I have been through, and with permission, I share what some of my other friends have been through, like their experiences with IEDs, and how like I have a friend of mine that is literally, he's grateful that the IED went off under his vehicle because he was in a tank and not the Humvee behind him, because it would have obliterated the Humvee and killed everyone on board. So he
Wow.
came out of it with his trauma, with his brain injury. However, he's still grateful that it was him and not someone else.
Wow.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
not sure if I'm actually answering the
Yeah.
question of
Yeah.
what I'm doing.
No, it
As
does.
okay, like
Yeah.
physically, I've also volunteered at my local VA hospital. I do outreach. I have a side project called Virtual Tranquility Base, which is a not-for-profit mental health resource where we have it's completely volunteer run, where we don't offer any kind of help in the traditional sense, that it's an active listening space. So when you
Oh,
have something on your mind and you just need to talk to someone about it, you need to vent, you need to get it off your chest,
mhm.
then that's what we're there for. We don't diagnose, prescribe, or try to fix anything. We simply listen.
Yeah.
And I have found that to be huge.
It is huge. I also I've been following like several groups of men, um, just because it's very interesting that how there was not a lot of spaces for men to actually either congregate in that sense, to actually talk and talk about their feelings, talk about their issues, and all this that like we all go through, but because of how society has uh, made men of like the supported or the household of the most important thing, the pretty much the part of the family that never breaks
Mhm.
almost. So I think it's really cool, and it's cool to see that there's all these resources and things for men to actually start the path of healing. I know you mentioned your friends and you're doing other things to heal. What's the uh, what's your intake on mentorship and mentors that you probably had? I know some people are very like, I don't need anyone, especially in that male sense. They're like, I don't need anyone. I could do it myself. Uh, but we all know there's a whole other thing. And then I'm not saying it that individuals aren't able to do it. They definitely can.
Mhm.
But what's your intake on that? Like, what are your thoughts on mentors and mentorship? And do you like to mentor?
Yes.
Yes.
My very first thought is Mike Dumaine. And Mike is a peer support specialist at the Charles George VA Hospital in Asheville, North Carolina. And oh yeah, he has been instrumental in my
Mhm.
recovery and in my transformation. He was my example. He's also struggled with substance use, similar backstory as far as abusive childhood, and um, humans are visual creatures. We learn by watching, and we manifest by our actual visualizations. So while a mentor or a role model is not essential and it's not like a prerequisite,
Mhm.
it's certainly easier when you have something or someone like as an example for who you want to embody. Now, like some of my famous role models, I look up to Terry Crews, who's 53 and just killing it. Like, all right, if that's possible at 53, then what can I do with this? Like,
Yeah.
I'm also a big fan of Witcher. I'm looking at Henry Cavill. Like, all right, well, he's 38. I'm going on 46. Like, can I pull that off? Or like, I can at least attempt, to emulate that body style, because I like the way that he looks, and I like that body confidence that comes with it.
Mhm.
So also I look to other men that are going through life experiences that I want to experience.
Mhm.
Um, Actually, I had a role model. I have no idea what his name is. Never talked to him, saw him one time for one moment. It was that one pivotal moment that I was at. I was at one of the regional burn events, and there's a big effigy that is burned as like the culmination on the last night. And I saw this guy who was just like the quintessential like hippie. He had this big beard and like thin bodied, and he was laid out on the ground near where the remains of the effigy was burning, completely nude. Just completely nude. He had one hand behind his head, he had one leg raised, like his knee raised up, and he was it was just there, just existing, just natural and comfortable. And I remember thinking about how I was so self-conscious about my appearance and everything, and I'm like, all right, I want that. I'm going to achieve that. I want that body confidence. I want to be that comfortable in my skin. I am going to lay naked next to a fire out in public. And then COVID
Wow.
happened, and I haven't had the opportunity yet.
That's amazing how like we get touched by other people
Yeah,
by just existing.
yeah.
I find it awesome. I think uh, it's amazing how strangers and all these people that we come across, they all affect us in some way, whether it's positive or negative.
Hmm.
And I love that one of your mentors is someone that you don't even know
Oh
or
yeah,
knew.
yeah. I saw him the one time. I haven't seen him since. And also, I am not. I am very intentionally
Mhm.
male and masculine, and I am intentional about it because I did not have any healthy male role models growing
Yeah.
up.
Hmm.
And I also I challenge what gender conforming clothing is. That I enjoy wearing skirts. I wear sarongs when it's warm, and I've had guys walk up to me in the grocery store like, dude, I don't know what that's called, but that looks great. It's just like a wrap or whatever, just because I'm comfortable in it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I have a not a funny story, I guess, with clothing too. Like since I was little, I always felt like clothes and shoes didn't have like a sex or that gender thing. It was more like I like those shoes because they felt comfortable and they look great. And obviously my parents were like, no, 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 those are boys' shoes. And I'll be like, but they're so cool and they feel good. And same with like shirts and things. I mean, I've never been like, I love skirts and obviously dresses when I need to go fancy and whatever. But definitely comfort and feeling good has been like a really big thing with me when it comes to shoes and clothes.
Hmm.
And I am very drawn to like the men's section, and I'm like, this feels really good. This is very soft. These shoes are very comfortable, and I feel like society should slightly change their mind about like how they communicate with things. The clothes is
Hmm.
clothes, and if you want to wear pink or blue or yellow, by all means, all colors are beautiful. all shoe style. If you want to wear heels, by all means, it really hurts on your feet. But you know what I'm saying? So I love that. I love that you're mentioning that when it comes to clothes
Oh
and
yeah, I regularly go through the women's section whenever I go thrift shopping. That there's um, men's clothing is just boring. You want in blue, black, gray, okay, maybe some brown, but
yeah.
it's like color like purple or yellow. It's like no, I need to go to the women's section usually.
Yeah, for sure. And we have a lot of accessories, which is awesome. And yeah, when I look for accessories for my husband, it's kind of hard to find things. So yeah, we definitely need to kind of like open our eyes and be like, all colors, all shapes could be worn by everyone. So
Hmm.
I love that. I love that you mentioned that. And so now, how do you see yourself now on that path of success? How does that feel? I know you went through a hardship, a harsh childhood, um, and all this, but how do you feel now? How does that path of healing feels?
Put my glasses back on early. And I say this a lot that I am I am literally living a life that I previously did not have the courage to believe was possible. And if you had told me 3 years ago when I was in the hospital that I would be where I am now, I'd have laughed in your face because it wasn't possible for me then. And not only have I been able uh, to turn my pain and trauma into tools to help other men deal with their pain and their trauma, that by doing the inner work and by literally taking care of my shit so that I was no longer constantly triggered or upset or in some kind of 4F response. Um, by addressing all of my inner stuff and doing my own like internal housekeeping, it set me up for the best relationship I've had uh, in my life, hands down. That I now know what people mean when they say that they married their best friend. Uh, yeah, my spouse Clever and I met in February of 2020 and had our first like not date in March right before the world shut down, and then we got married June of last year.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
Yeah, and I would not. That was not even on my radar a few years ago. Like it was, like I didn't think there was still part of me, or rather, I had to work through the part that thought that I was unlovable.
Yeah.
And my mother and I have spoken about this, that she didn't think I was ever going to get married. I've got friends of 30 years that have known me since high school that didn't think it was going to be possible, and it was because I was picking bad partners, or I was picking toxic partners because I was still toxic towards myself. So I kept picking like super critical people that weren't healed and that would lash out because it was what I was used to. It was like what my mother and I spoke about. She remembers me being as young as 4 years old, and my father mocking me and belittling me for being a crybaby when I'm
Mm,
like 4, 5, and 6.
right.
And that was difficult to adjust to. It was like, also, well, you're drunk and you're hitting me. You are the reason I am crying. So it's like,
Right.
ah,
Do you think you know, we go through struggles and we work at them? Do you think it is work, like you have to keep on working on it, or you think it's just like it just happens to people? Because we do see a lot of successful people and we never see the struggle, right? Um,
Mhm.
what do you think about that? Like, do you think it's work or it's just like a mindset that you just changed and you're like, I'm good today?
It's a bit of both. That recovery is not linear,
Okay.
and yeah, it's ups and downs. It's the idea is to have like the the slope, like you
Mm-hmm.
want to be improving, but sometimes you'll have bad days. Or pardon me, to use my I statements, I have bad days. I have struggle days.
Yeah.
I still have issues with depression. I still like while I have done a whole lot of work, I still have PTSD, and there are still uh, yeah, there are still things that I am actively working on. And as you know, we continue to live, we continue to have new experiences,
Mm-hmm.
new things come in, new stimuli, new information that might disturb something that I didn't even know needed to be addressed.
Yeah. How important do you think it's to like keep on working on ourselves for to better future generations?
Oh, it is the most important thing. Um, I'm a big believer. Ram Dass said that, you know, the only thing I can do to improve my relationship with you is to improve my relationship with myself. And the more I improve my relationship with myself, the more I love myself, the more I accept myself, the more that I am able to be kind to myself, the more I am able to love, connect, and be kind to others.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
as I work on myself, I improve the quality of all the relationships around me.
Hmm. Exactly. Our parents are our greatest teachers.
Mhm.
Whether they're the best parents or the worst parents. How you have moved forward in your life um, with that? Like, what was the how was that for you?
It's been a struggle. Um, and I feel like it's also the only struggle worth, or not the only struggle. It's definitely a struggle worth it. I legally changed my name to Mouse in August of 2021, and this past Christmas was the first time my mother called me Mouse. She for whatever reason she was taking it personally that I had changed my name because I'd had an experience with the meditation labyrinth and like, no, this is who I am going to be. This is who I am intentionally being, and uh, that was huge for her to call me that at Christmas. And then she called me on New Year's Day, and we had a very emotional conversation. Where she said she was proud of me.
Yeah.
And she's actually described me as wise a couple of times. She calls me for health advice, uh, like supplements and chemical reactions and stuff, and just like little things that she can do to improve her joints and whatnot. And yeah, that we had a very um, like strained relationship when I was younger,
Hmm.
and because she was also, I mean, she was like, I am in the position now where I can look back and objectively say, like, okay, like I know it wasn't me, that she
Hmm.
was dealing with her unaddressed trauma, that she was sexually assaulted by her stepfather when she was in high school. That was never addressed. And then she had her own issues with drinking, substance use. So, and her and my dad were not a good fit. Like, I remember they were uh, weekend drunks.
Wow.
And this is even while he was still in the Air Force, and also back in the 80s. Well, and even then again, when I was in service in the 90s, there was a very big alcohol culture in the military. So I can look back at it and recognize that the abuse and the beatings were not necessarily her. It was while she was
Hmm.
intoxicated, and in some cases like blackout drunk and had no recollection like the next day of what she had done to me or my brother the night before.
Right.
well, since then, I mean, she also went through her rock bottom experience, and she went through treatment and has been uh, she achieved her sobriety like 16 years ago,
Yeah.
and in that time we've been able to yeah, I mean, it was, man, hearing her say she was proud of me, that was, yeah, and it was the full sentence, like, I'm proud of you, Mouse. And just like, oh my God, like the way my heart just like, oh, I was ready to burst out of my chest. It was, yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
thank you. Yes, I'm very grateful that we have been able to uh, mend and improve our relationship.
That's
I,
great.
I didn't get the chance to get a full resolution with my father. He passed away in 2006.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
So also
Yeah.
he was only 50. So now I'm about to I'm literally I'm 46 next week with an eye on turning 51, because like now it's kind of a thing to outlive him.
Yeah, for sure. Well, happy early birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah, but it is, I believe that in order for us to keep on that journey of healing and growing as humans, we definitely have to take a look back for a second, and not with the judging eye, but more of like what happened, like more with the eye of curiosity, and just take a seat back and see where our parents were, where our great parents were, because I've said it many times, nobody comes to earth with a manual on how to be a parent. And so it is a big thing. I mean, raising another human, definitely, especially when you have little tools or no tools. Some people have better tools than others, and I believe even when they're the worst of the parents at that point, they did the best they could.
Yeah.
And it's almost like on us to either take it as it is, or just have the perspective on where they were and moved on, because that's not who you are. That's not, you know that has nothing to do with you. As crazy as that might sound. And so that's amazing. um, that's awesome that you shared that special moment with us. Some of us have never gone through that, and it's very appreciated. Like it's real cool for you to share that. um, is there anything else that you would like to share with us today, for people that are on that path of healing and try to be successful on whatever they are, or whatever that means for them?
On my good days, I like to move in the direction of my fear.
Hmm.
That is what I use as my compass. Like, what don't I want to look at? What don't I want to talk about? That's generally like, okay, this is what needs to be addressed. As far as um, for wherever you may be in your healing journey, yeah, we are, and we humans are social animals. Like, we draw strength from being around one another, and by all means, yeah, uh, find a mentor, get a therapist, get a coach, like someone,
Mhm.
ideally someone with lived experience, that look at where they're at, and they don't have to have all the answers. They're not going to have all the answers. I don't have all the answers. However, I can help somebody get from where they're at to where I'm at,
Mhm.
while I'm also looking ahead to for someone to help me get to where they're at. That uh to go full nerd and to quote Gandalf from Lord of the Rings, like, all we have is time and, oh wait, that's not how it goes. Yeah, but the the point is, all we have is time. and our choices with what we're going to do with that time.
Yeah.
So it's like I spent 40 years codependent and toxic and miserable, and when I was uh, wounded, like I had the nerve damage, I kept looking to other people to fix me while doing zero things to take care of my own health. That was when my weight shot up to like 320 pounds. I would get winded climbing in out of bed, and still I had the audacity to be pissed off that whatever doctor I had just seen didn't magically like wave a wand.
Mm-hmm.
And it was where I was at the time. Like I can say this without judgment. I remember, oh my God, the number of times I prayed that I would meet like a real life Dr. House, just this magically, unbelievably brilliant diagnostician who could take a look at me. It's like, oh, okay, well, this is what's wrong and this is how we treat it. And it wasn't like that. And then once I actually started to work on myself, like this is my life's work. And the more I work on myself, the more I clear up my past trauma, the more I am able to enjoy and experience life around me.
I love that. Thank you so much. If anyone wants to get in contact with you, where can they find you?
I'm on Instagram at Clever Mouse Coach. And you can also find me on Facebook at Mouse Wilson.
Awesome. I will put all his information on the show notes. If you would like to know more about my show, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And just a little note here, my book was out last week. So for anyone that wants to buy my book, Parents Are Greatest Teachers, is available for you to buy on Amazon. So buy it, give me a review, send me a DME, let me know what you think about it, and let's keep on sharing our stories. Thank you, Mouse, for being here today, and have a blessed day, everyone.
Thank you, Alex. My pleasure.